I really believe that education is key. In Chicago, there is a high school that is called Austin Polytechnical Institute. Now, Austin Polytech is what's called a performance school in Chicago under the Chicago public school system. It's operated by the Chicago Manufacturing Renaissance Council. And the whole idea behind Austin Polytech is to take young students and to begin to train them, not just in jobs in the sense of career education, not that kind of traditional, that's one element of it, but also to teach them management in light industry, also to teach them entrepreneurialism in light industry, how to be creative and come up with the kinds of things the light industry would produce. And it's been highly successful. When President Obama was running for president and visited Austin Polytech, what he said was, this is the kind of school that we're going to replicate across the country when I'm president of the United States. Well, we all know the president, unfortunately, is facing so many problems. Creating new entities like that isn't high on the agenda right now. But we can do it ourselves. So tomorrow morning I'm hosting the second of 2 meetings now with mayors from all of our communities to come together to try to develop a system that we can then go to the school boards with and say to the various high school boards, you don't have to do this on your own. Let's create a cooperative to do this, just like the special education cooperatives. Because not every student is going to be interested in that kind of light industrial training. But for those that are interested, especially when you put a twist on it, that it's going to be manufacturing with a high energy efficient sustainability aspect to it, that's a real plus. And if we could have an educational institution like that in the south suburbs that is fed by all of the school districts, okay, by Rich, by Home and Flossmoor, by Crete Monique, by all of the school districts in a cooperative fashion, just think what that will mean in terms of trying to attract businesses, by being able to say, we have the workforce, not just line people, those are important, but line people plus management people plus kind of people who can do the ideas behind all of this to come up with new things. So these are the kinds of things that I think our communities joining together and working together, we can bring about for our region. I want to be re-elected mayor in Park Forest for another 4 years. I told some of my constituents at a forum on Sunday, I'm grateful for the 12 years that I've had. I want 4 more years. 4 years ago, I thought I wouldn't be asking for 4 more years, frankly, and my wife didn't think I was going to be asking for 4 more years either. But, there was something that happened when I retired in July, and all of a sudden I realized, wow, I've been doing this for 12 years while I've also had a full-time job. 4 more years, I can do it where I can devote all my time and energy to this. And that's what I've been trying to do. I think working together with my fellow mayors and all the various communities, that we can really accomplish something that's really good here. So what I say to you is, if you're a resident of Park Forest and a voter of Park Forest, please, I ask you to give me your vote on April 5th. If you're not a resident of Park Forest, but you have family, friends, whomever in Park Forest who are registered voters, please ask them to give me their vote on April 5th. And if you are neither of those things, but you like politics the way I do, we're going to have a lot of door-to-door activity that you can volunteer for. Glenna will be the one taking names for that kind of thing. But, we could certainly use the help. Telephone calls, door-to-door work, whatever. Anything that you are willing to do to help, we would really appreciate, and we'll work together to make our region better for all of us. Thank you very much.
Now, the difference between my regular speakers is that I open it up for questions. So does anybody have a question for John?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, the first thing, back to the first thing you talked about.
Okay.
The airport. So part of the reason it hasn't gone forward is financial, part of this, the economy, but part of it is the political headline.
Right.
The commission is not the only candidate, as I understand,
right,
to develop the airport. Will County Board and some other coalition, I don't understand all of it. How's that going?
We're closer than we've ever been to resolving that problem. What I tell people whenever I'm out talking is the only thing that could stand in the way of it is the politics, and that's what you're talking about. AllNat has identified a private developer, a Canadian firm, that will put its money into the airport. The governor's office at this juncture seems to be very much prone that that's the route we have to go. I mean, obviously, with the state being in the condition that it's in, you know, generating tax dollars for an airport is not something that's readily feasible at this point. So the idea of bringing in Canadian money, you know, we all moan and groan about how American money goes out of the country and creates jobs out of the country. This is a little bit of a reverse of that. We'd be bringing foreign money in and creating jobs here. But that's a very appealing aspect. Now, what the ALNAC board recently has done is proposed to the governor that we add members to the commission that will represent the Will County area more extensively than it currently does. Because there's nothing to be gained for Cook County versus Will County. But there's nothing to be gained for Will County excluding Cook County either. I mean, because the truth of the matter is, and any of you who live in Cook County, you know this, the impact of the airport, whether you're talking about transportation, the traffic or whatever, it's going to hit us in the south suburbs. We've got to have a seat at the table.
The airport's in Will County, right?
It's in Will County.
Will County.
That's right. But see, number one, the airport is closest to University Park, and Mayor McCollum of University Park is the chairman of ALNAC. Part of Park Forest is in Will County, and I'm the vice chairman. And then we have 4 more seats on the board that we're willing to give to Will County. So as the governor has requested that a majority of the board be Will County, represent Will County, we will have that to fill, and the governor has the right to fill those 4 seats. So we're really hoping that, we are very, very close to bringing this about. If all the personalities can keep from arguing with one another, so. And there have been some changes there too, because the political structure in Will County has changed a little.
John?
Yes.
I have a question also, and it also relates to the airport. Should this airport ever be built, is your immediate goal to have this airport serve businesses? If, for instance, as you were talking
Right.
about, that was one thing that was prohibiting the businesses from coming here is because of the transportation problem. Because my view right now, aside from the environmental nightmare that I'm afraid that it's going to be, is that an empty economic engine is no better than no economic engine. Because if you look at Gary and if you look at Rockford, there's like 5 people sitting in the airport all day waiting for somebody to come walk through the door.
That's right. And I think that's the key to the idea of getting an airport developer who is a professional at developing airports, rather, and this has been our argument with Will County, to be perfectly honest.
Actually,
We
we
do
live
not-
in Will
okay.
County.
Yeah.
We do not-
They're not the only.
We do not believe that a political body, a county board or whatever, managing an airport is going to achieve anything that's any better than Rockford, Gary, or the Midwest Airport down in St. Louis. We really don't believe that. But SNL at Lavalin, who are the developers of this airport, they have been successful in developing airports in Vancouver, in France, in New York. The extension of the Kennedy Airport has private developers. They have a completely different approach, and they have experience in working with the airline. You're not starting at ground point zero. And on the environmental issue, what's really important is SNL Lavalin is the first firm to ever build a green airport. In France, their latest development is a totally green airport. It's the first green airport in the world. So, there are aspects even in terms of the environment, plus the fact that the new standards that are established by the Federal Aviation Administration, they require so much more in terms of environmental protections, so that from day one, this airport will be environmentally more sound than either Midway or O'Hare. Just by the fact that it's being constructed from the ground up to meet those environmental standards. The amount of land that has to be set aside, all of those kinds of things. Now, their commitment is to a combination of a passenger airport and freight, both passenger and freight. The feeling is that there will be a significant amount of passenger activity, though initially there may be more freight than passenger. But that will balance out with passenger time. Because it will draw from a very wide area, not just from South Cook and Will, but as far down Kankakee and further south in Kankakee, it's still going to be an opportunity for people to access air transportation.
But until you get an airline in there, it's all on point. I mean, no airline has committed to coming to Third Airport.
All I can say is that SNL Avalon, as a private developer, I obviously cannot speak to what kinds of arrangements they have with some airlines. So, all I know is I can tell you that the principals of the company feel very comfortable at this juncture in putting their money into this development because of commitments that they have that are not public.
Any other questions?
Anything? Good, well, thank you very much.